There's a lot going on in worship today. Welcoming Paul, my announcement, Respond to God's Love Sunday, plus Penny and Zanny. Hi, I didn't know you were going to be in here. It's good to have you here. Lots and lots of stuff going on. And it might feel like these are so many different things. And it can feel indicative of all that's happening at Trinity these days. Lots of change, lots of new information. But here's what's so easy to lose sight of. All of this comes from the same center. This is a community of the people of God trying to live out the way of Jesus in the world. That's what this church is. That's what we're actually doing here. Sure, we're asking for ushers and giving updates and raising money and all kinds of other things, but none of that would matter, or frankly does matter, without that foundation. This is a community of the people of God trying to live out the way of Jesus in the world. We get caught up in so many other things. What kind of music we have, what the pastors wear, what time the services are, who agrees with who. But we must come back to what we're actually about. Being a community of the people of God trying to live out the way of Jesus in the world. What else would we be about? What else could we be about? This is the center. This is the priority. This is what we're all about. And as it turns out, the earliest Christians faced this too. So listen to this reading from 1 Corinthians, and I'm going to read it twice because it's so short. But let me just set up the context a little bit. There are these two preachers, Apollos and Paul, who are going throughout the area after Jesus had died, starting up new churches. But people of that time were used to getting really attached to their leaders and just worshiping whoever the leader was. And so Paul is kind of trying to say, you guys, it's not about me, right? It's about God. And so this is what he says to those people. What then is Apollos? What is Paul? Servants through whom you came to believe, as the Lord assigned to each. I, Paul, I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. So neither the one who plants nor the one who waters is anything, but only God who gives the growth. The one who plants and the one who waters have a common purpose, and each will receive what is due. For we are God's servants, working together. You are God's field, God's building. I'm going to read that again. What then is Apollos? What is Paul? Servants through whom you came to believe, as the Lord assigned to each. I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. So neither the one who plants nor the one who waters is anything, but only God who gives the growth. The one who plants and the one who waters have a common purpose, and each will receive what he is due. For we are God's servants working together, and you are God's field and God's building. If I were to put that in context for us today, I'd maybe paraphrase it this way. Trinity is not my church. It's not Paul's church. It wasn't Dan's church. It's not the staff's church or the council's church. It's not even the people who's been here the longest's church. It's God's church. The growth belongs to God. You are God's field, the place where love is planted and gets to bloom in the world. You are God's building, a place of welcome and rest and shelter. We are all just the people of God trying to live out the way of Jesus in the world. I am one who has planted and watered seeds in this field, but the beauty and the growth will continue long after I'm gone, because the growth belongs to God. And Paul will do a great job of planting and watering. He's going to be a huge gift to this community. But the growth will continue long after he leaves, because the growth belongs to God. And to me, this is really good news. In the midst of all of this change, there's a firm foundation, something that cannot and will not go away. The why of why we gather. The why of Trinity isn't going anywhere. Because inevitably, there will be more change. Paul isn't here forever. Finances still need to be addressed. People of this community will continue to come and go. Plus, I'm sure there'll be some change that's completely unexpected. I'm not foreshadowing anything. I don't know anything you don't. I just know that that's the way life is. And in the midst of this dizzying change, this unrelenting newness and difference, you have your feet on the ground, never losing sight of who or what is truly important. This is a community of the people of God trying to live out the way of Jesus in the world. We all need to keep the main thing, never forgetting why we came and what's important. And I think this goes for our daily lives as well. How often do we get caught up in all of our own busyness that we forget what's important? Maybe it's just me. I get distracted by my schedule or the long traffic coming back from the city, or what I'm going to cook for dinner, or those nagging projects I really haven't made any progress on. Am I alone in this? Am I the only one? Little nod, you guys? Okay. Maybe it's just me, and then I'll just preach the rest of this to myself, but I think we all do this. Even as someone who supposedly does this faith thing for a living, it's hard to keep the main thing. Even though I'm lucky enough to have a job that pushes me to think and reflect and learn and grow, I forget. I lose sight of this all the time. So what do we do? How do we remember? How can we build in reminders to remember? Well, that's a million-dollar question, isn't it? And since I only have a few more chances to do this, you might know what's coming. It's going to be audience participation time. You could just feel it. I just felt the anxiety in the room, just like, oh no, we're going to have to talk to each other. You love it. Don't pretend. So I'm going to give you time just for a little silent reflection and to turn and share with your neighbor. So first, I want you to take a moment and get clear with yourself and find a phrase just for you about what is the main thing. What is your why? What's at the center, that firm foundation of your life? So think about that. You can take your little time to think about it. And then when you're ready, turn and share it with someone. Okay, ready, go. You guys are so quiet. It's hard to know when you're done. Church mice. So isn't that such a relief? And I know you could spend hours on really finding what the main thing is, so keep reflecting about it. But it's such a gift to know what that unshakable center of your life is. So second part now. What's the reminder? What's a mindfulness bell that can help you remember that the main thing is the main thing? How can you come back to your phrase when everything feels busy or chaotic or full of unexpected change? I'll give you two examples, two of mine. The first time I started doing a practice like this of finding something kind of random to bring me back, I chose sneezing. So every time somebody around me sneezed, besides just saying, bless you, I'd go, oh, that means I have to take a deep breath. And I would like stop mid-conversation and be like, so that's one option, anything. My latest practice has been stopping all the way at stop signs. Not that I didn't do that before, but like really stopping all the way until you feel that car kind of like stop. And I'm like, the world is full of these big signs that, hey, stop, take a breath. Remember what's important. I don't want to be so busy that I don't have literally, not like the kids say literally, but like literally 2 seconds to stop at a stop sign, right? Like, is that really the pace my life is at? So I'm always like, oh yeah, I have time for this. What's the main thing? So those are tiny little examples, but now it's your turn. So go right back to your main thing and then brainstorm one tangible, practical way that you can bring this to mind. What's going to be something that reminds you to come back to your center? So think about it and share. There's no wrong answer. I'm going to draw you back in. You can keep brainstorming these as well. But as change arises, as people come and go, as busyness creeps in and it feels like everything's spinning out of control, it's nothing but a reminder to keep the main thing the main thing. To focus on why you're doing what you're doing and what's really important. I can't speak to your life. You did that already, and I hope you share those with me. But allow me to speak for this community, even if just for a couple more weeks. In the midst of everything that's happening, the one thing that is not changing is that this is a community of the people of God trying to live out the way of Jesus in the world. And that's a pretty amazing thing to be about and hold on to. Amen.